Let's move on now to my Atlanta Falcons and our final 2023 free agency offseason review. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and ring that bell to get notified when we create new Falcons content. This is the last series that Ryan and I will be doing, focusing on the free agency section of the offseason before we turn to previewing the 2023 NFL season. So be sure to subscribe and ring that bell to get notified when new Falcons content gets released. Ryan, let's get into it here. So the Atlanta Falcons came into the offseason with the second most cap space than any other team. And boy, do they spend some money. And I'm glad that they did. A lot of it, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. They got great additions. Well, we'll find out if they're great additions that I think the entire Falcons community approves of at the time, really focusing on the defensive line section, adding a great talent, JEssie Bates, and the safety section as well. And then a lot of that was very early on. And then we've just been picking up little other tiny pieces here, like getting Bud Dupree, that was late. And so just adding some more depth. Calais Campbell as well for 1 year. That was a couple weeks, I think, after free agency had started. So that was kind of a nice surprise at the end, really bolstering up this defensive line. Other additions as well that we're going to get into that I mentioned. We're not going to go through every single addition or departure, but there weren't too many departures. But in general, though, I'm really satisfied with the Falcons offseason.
No, yeah, I think the Falcons have done a really good job. You talked mostly about the defensive side of the ball, but let's jump right into the offensive side of the ball and start out. I think at the top wide receiver room, Drake London, he's going to lead the way, I think, in the wide receivers. You guys brought in Mac Hollins and Scotty Miller as well. I think those are good additions. And I like this wide receiver room, and I think you couple it with Kyle Pitts and then Jonnu Smith, the trade acquisition from the Patriots. And I think you guys have a pretty solid wide receiver group. Again, I think it's really going to depend a lot on the development and success of Drake London.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can continue to grow with Desmond Ridder. He did close out the season really well. I think he had 600 yards in the final 4 or 5 games.
So I think it was something closer to 400, but he doubled essentially his yards with the 4 games with Desmond Ridder, while he only had like 400 with Mariota. It could be something around there. But yeah, it's I agree with you on like the development of London, but also some of that is going to be based off the development of Desmond Ridder. And so that's going to be another key addition that they added as well, was getting Taylor Heineke to come in and play backup. There's going to be some QB competition, but I really think they want to see if Ridder is going to be the guy, so they're going to hand him the reins early on. And overall, how I'm seeing this offense shape up, this looks like a 2019-2020 Arthur Smith offensive coordinator led Tennessee Titans. You have your big receiver in Drake London that can reminds me of A.J. Brown. And you got other kind of just consistent journeyman receivers who are quick, solid, good route runners. Nothing crazy, nothing great. Stacked tight ends with Kyle Pitts. He's definitely a little bit different than I would say Jonnu Smith. I think Jonnu Smith can block him maybe a little bit more, while Kyle Pitts is more of your slot receiver type tight end. Mm-hmm. But still, though, going to be a lot of 12 personnel. I can see this season coming up with Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith on the opposite side, with Drake London and then Mac Hollins or Scotty Miller on the other side, because going to another addition to the offense that I'm not sure, if you haven't been living under a rock, you probably know by now that Bijan Robinson was their first round pick. I will say controversial in a way, just because he's a running back. That being said, though, if you would break it down by top prospects coming into this class, consensus top 3 prospect coming in. I would say people would say he's better than probably some of the quarterbacks that are coming up. Maybe Anthony Richardson, you could say, just because of the freakish prospect level. But you would have to throw him, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, like in at minimum every top 5 prospect conversation, coming into this draft. It was just, he was running back, so no one knew where he was going to go. I know I said in one of the mock drafts or previews coming up into the draft, I said I personally wouldn't take him, but I would be very excited if we did take him. It wouldn't be like some boring move like trading back or something like that in the first round like some of these teams do in the AFC East. But with the Falcons, though, we want to go and get offensive players that are exciting that we can build around. Done that now the past 3 seasons. Tight end Kyle Pitts, receiver Drake London, and then now Bijan Robinson. And if Desmond Ridder doesn't work out, we're probably going to take a quarterback in the first round next year. So in general, really like what they've done on the offensive side of the ball. In the free agency side, and we'll shift to the defensive side as well, because that's where they spend a lot of their money as well on the defensive side. And I think offensively, building up through the draft and just signing key pieces like Matt Collins, Scott Miller, trading for Jonnu Smith, veteran guys that can come in and just help contribute, help a young rookie quarterback kind of get his sea legs in the NFL.
No, yeah, definitely. I agree. Let's shift now onto the defensive side of the ball, where, like you said, they spent a lot of money here. Starting out, JEssie Bates, probably the biggest signing that they made all offseason. And then you couple that in the secondary with trading for Jeff Okudah. I think Jeff Okudah is a little bit riskier than I think a lot of Falcons fans want to admit. He didn't really work out in Detroit because he was injured a lot. But I think you guys gave up a 5th rounder for him.
Yeah, I would gladly take that. I keep forgetting that he was drafted in 2020. Like, he was only drafted a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like, so he is still young, does have injury history. But so there's definitely some concerns there. We'll have to kind of see. Hopefully he stays healthy. I think one of the things as well that that's going to help out Jeff Okudah is this. You can make an argument. It's weird saying this for the Falcons team, but just on paper, looking at it, this might be the best defensive front that he's been on a team with, because there are just some crappy defenses up in Detroit. So a lot of running around in the secondary, a lot of extra things going on here. While you just look at this defense on paper, and you can see all the additions that they've had just from this first string, and there's a lot more depth as well that we're might not even get into. But Calais Campbell, David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, Bud Dupree. That's a solid, and Bud Dupree's a left outside linebacker, but he's an edge rusher. Same with Lorenzo Carter. Mm-hmm. That's a fairly solid defensive front right there. I mean, just Grady Jarrett and David Onyemata right there in the middle is going to be huge additions. And one of the interesting things, too, with Ryan Nielsen coming over, now the new defensive coordinator, we don't really kind of know what consistent defensive set that they're going to have, 4-3, 3-4, and whatnot. I think there's going to be a lot of both. And what I see here going down this defensive front line, just going down this first string defense, is a lot of versatility. Even go look at Troy Anderson, who we got last year in the second round. Guy seems like he can do it all. You know, I mean, he can block punts, and also seems like he can like blitz up the middle and sack the quarterback. He's just a super freakishly athletic guy. You pair him up with Caden Ellis, who had a good season last year with New Orleans. Our linebacking group is looking even better. And so a lot of potential here. And then all that coming back to Jeff Okudah is overall, you can maybe make an argument that this might be the most talent on the defensive side that he has been on in his career.
No, yeah. And I think even just looking in that secondary group, JEssie Bates, Pro Bowl safety, AJ Terrell is a top 5-10 corner in the league already. So he's not going to be asked to be playing a super big role to begin with. Richie Grant, who's going into his 3rd year, he should be making some better plays. Then you throw in rookie Clark Phillips that they just drafted. And I think they have a really solid cornerback room as well. So I'm excited for this Falcons defense and team as a whole. I think all in all, they improved a lot. And, and especially, I guess now we'll get into kind of our season predictions and successful season. But this division is not that good. I think that they will be definitely competitive, if not the favorite to win this division. So we'll kind of have to see where everyone is going into training camp, but I like them a lot to win this division.
At minimum, for this to be a good season, they have to host a playoff game. I even think just making the wild card, I guess, is a step in the right direction. But the NFC is fairly weak. Like there's still a lot of question marks. I know Minnesota won the NFC North. They're not going to win it this year. I could see them not making the playoffs. Just because you make the playoffs in the NFC doesn't mean that you're a good team. If you win the division, though, I think that can send out some alarm bells to some of the teams that are in the division that might be thinking, hey, we might be time to start doing a rebuild. I know the Saints seem to keep wanted to postpone their rebuild because then they're paying Derek Carr a lot of money. Tampa Bay, we're going to be getting to them here shortly. They seem like they've now kind of accepted that rebuild role, and the Panthers now they're in the rebuild right now with a young quarterback. So now's the time. They have to win this division for this to be a good year. I'd be happy that they made the playoffs, but at the same time, I'm not going to predict them to just make the playoffs. I'm predicting them to host a home playoff game. And so it'd be pretty neat if Dan Quinn came back to Atlanta and had to play against the Falcons. So
my thing is to say that hosting a home playoff game is the definition of a successful season for them, I think is a bit ambitious. To me, I think you guys really weren't even in playoff contention. You guys weren't in serious playoff contention last year. I know you guys were at one point considered a wild card contender, but the team just wasn't. It wasn't that good. And for me, I think if you guys can even, let's say like weeks 17, 18, you guys are playing for the division, I think that's a successful season.
Well, and I think one of the things why I say division here specifically is it's like what you said last year. We were not a good team last year, and we were in playoff contention well late into the season than we should have been.
Yeah.
And we competed in a lot of games. Like there were a lot of close games, but in general, there just wasn't a good team. Like offensively could not throw the ball. We were a one-trick pony. I think we were one of the first teams in a long time to have over 50% of our snaps like be run plays. There's one game, I forgot what it was. It was the one that Arthur Smith bought the entire offensive line 6-pack. I don't think they had a passing play in the second half. Like they just ran the ball. Like they were so one-dimensional on it.
Yeah.
The reason why I say winning the division is what counts as a successful season, not just making the playoffs, is just because it's showing the net continuation growth. If we just make the playoffs, we could still be saying the status quo. But a couple of the games that we lost by one score against other poor teams last year, maybe we just got to break that one our way. I want to win the division. I want to host a home playoff game. I want to have a similar growth chart to like what is happening to Jacksonville. Where you have a lot of this young talent on the defensive side of the ball that starts to grow together with some veteran experience. You now have this young quarterback. Now you're putting a lot of fun, exciting weapons around him. We have one of the best offensive lines in the league. We have to stay healthy. I mean, the offensive line being healthy is huge. So to me, I think it'd be great if we made the playoffs, but I would still have a lot of disappointments and question marks because like why couldn't we win this division? This division sucks. Yeah, if we don't win this division. What are the problems?
If you guys go 10-7 and let's say the Saints go 11-6, like that's not anything to like hang your head at. You guys were still above 500 and whatnot. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like I think that there are some teams in this division that could be good.
I mean, could be good. Yeah, like we just did the Texans video that came out yesterday. So that's Texans could be good, but like they are not a good team. The Saints could be good, but let's be honest, like they're not really a good team. Yeah, they got Chris Olave, they got Rashid, other receiver. I'm blanking on it. My apologies.
Michael Thomas is still there also.
Yeah, and then you have Derek Carr that they signed, but outside of that, who else? They lost a lot of pieces on defense. Defense is getting old over there. Offensive line sucks last year. Like there's no reason why they should win this division. They couldn't even be 500 last year. So it's like they couldn't even win this division. So, and I think just getting Derek Carr, yes, an improvement at the quarterback position, but just improving your quarterback doesn't mean you're going to win games. And so, and I don't want Bryce Young to come in and win the division and go be kind of turn this team around. I think the Panthers still have a lot of concerns and question marks. New first-year head coach, first-year quarterback. So that's what I'm saying. If everything going up against it's more about the teams that we're going up against in our division. If we can't win this division, it's like, why not?
If you can't win this division this year, how are you going to win it in future years? That's kind of what you're saying. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up the Falcons offseason recap there. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what your favorite Falcons addition was this offseason. Was it a free agent signing? Was it a draftee? Let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.